just a few minutes. 7, 8. Be a position in which you're so easily for a few minutes. Those. And the sounds. Take all of them, draw them in. To the breath. Awareness. The conscious mind wander. Means one. And keep moving the bodies, because the mind goes and draw it. And as the awareness merges with the breath, in an unbroken wave of inhalation and exhalation of the body, begin to dissolve. And as we inhale from the outer to the inner, and exhale from the inner outer starts to dissolve. Until there's no longer an inner, no longer an outer. And allow the consciousness carried by the breath to merge the outer to the inner into an experience of unbroken spaciousness. Slowly bring the palms of your hands together at chest level and rub them gently against each other. Gently welcome again to satsang. Is with a question that's come in advance, and then open it to any questions that anyone here. The only time I feel peace is when I'm in prayer and doing sadhana. How do I carry that feeling with me when I'm dealing with life's daily drama. Sadhana is that which takes us into the truth. We stand up from sadhana and move into the world. We have to carry that truth with us. Truth, it isn't truth. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't play roles. One of the things we talk in here a lot about is the duty that may be, whether a role in the family, a role in my career, in my office, a role in my community, whatever it may be. I might be a father and I might be a president of a company. Talk to my son differently than I would talk to my boss or an employee, differently than I would talk to those roles, if I'm in tune with the truth of who I am. And this is true even if we don't drop for a moment into the moment. But before that, let's just look at truth in terms of even this intersection of time, space, who I am as an embodied being truth. So value to me that I hold dear is a value of truth. And so in my home as a father, it's important to me that my children tell the truth. It's important that I can't then walk into my office and start expecting that I, on any level, in that company, in that office, if I'm not holding on to that same value. Doesn't mean I don't do whatever my job is, and if we've got a company or a business that we don't try to do, I'm going to stay with me wherever I am. I'm not going to insist on a value at home and then walk into my place of work and violate it and be able to feel okay about myself. We're okay about it. So even in these superficial roles, even in my embodied being for a moment, regardless of the different roles that I'm playing in this drama, now you look at a deeper level truth. So in my sadhana, I'm active. And ultimately, that's what we're looking for. If we go around, which sometimes we do, I won't do it tonight, but if we go around and say, what's your highest goal? What people are looking for is that peace, is that joy. But if I'm violating the very nature of who I am, I'm not going to find it. And so I have to carry that truth with me as I move through the world. So if your sadhana is only an experience of when the world is quiet, when nobody interrupts me, when nobody scolds me, when nobody tells me what to do, when everybody's quiet and I get to just sit alone, then I'm happy and peaceful. That's not a deeply anchored sadhana. I'm able to experience peace as long as everyone else shuts up. I'm able to experience peace as long as no one bothers me. I'm able to experience peace as long as I have total control over my environment. My room, my lighting, my incense, my mat, my locked door, my music. I'm in total control. If that's the only place you can experience peace, what it means is that your sadhana needs to go a level deeper. It's not bad, don't feel badly. It's certainly a very common experience a lot of people have. That's why we do sadhana. But the point of sadhana is not, oh, thank God, now I can be at peace. And then when I have to stand up, it's like, oh, back into the back into the drama, back into the rat race. No. Who I am when I stand up should be different if my sadhana is real. And so if you really are able to touch an experience of truth, of the self in your sadhana, that stays with you. And one of the most basic but beautiful aspects of that stays with us is when we meditate, regardless of the technique we're using for meditation, one of the things that most people experience is some sense of a dissolving of where you end and the world begins. Now, in order to experience that, you have to stop moving the body. That's why we try to insist to the extent possible that for the 7, 8, 9 minutes of meditation that you don't move. Because even if it's just slight, even if it's just redoing my legs, every time that happens, the senses in my brain of where my ankle is in relation to my knee, where my knee is in relation to the ground, that kicks in. The minute I can actually hold my body still, it gives me the possibility to have an experience beyond the body. And so in that moment, a lot of us, even in the beginning, touch that sense of that dissolving of where you end and the world begins. And when you know that, then as you move through the world, you stop moving through the world in a spirit of separation. You move through the world knowing we're connected. I'm only able to lie and to cheat and to harm and to steal if there's a sense of separation. If I'm over here and you're over there, yeah, I can lie to you about you. If I'm over here and you're over there, we're separate. But if I know there isn't any place I end and you begin, who's to steal from? Who's to lie to? Who's to be angry at? And if I know that there's no place I end and the world begins, then that sense that so many of us have of lack dissipates. Lack is only experienced if this is the sum total of who I am. Well, yeah, I'm lacking. We're all lacking. I'm not tall enough or beautiful enough or rich enough or smart enough or handsome enough or funny enough or whatever it may be. If this is the sum total of who I am, we're all lacking because it's a very small sum total. No matter how much I have, no matter how much I am, no matter how much I do, it's never enough. But when I have an experience, a truth, a knowing, that actually I'm one with the universe, then that sense of lack becomes a sense of abundance, a sense of fullness. Because there is no this is just who I am. This is who I am. And so that stays with me in the rest of my life. And so we carry sadhana into our life when that sadhana is real, when it's deep, when it transforms who we are, not when it's just a temporary respite from the world. So that's what you have to ask yourself is my prayer, is my sadhana just me with earplugs in a dark room and the door locked and finally able to kind of push the world out for a little bit of time and be quiet, which by the way, in and of itself is not a bad thing at all. it just doesn't last very long. Because it hasn't actually changed who we are. That's the piece that is, don't come too close to me because I'm feeling really peaceful and I don't want to lose it. Don't talk to me now because I'm feeling really peaceful and I don't want to lose it. Right? We see this in families a lot. I was really peaceful until you came home. I was really peaceful till you started talking to me. Well, it's a very tenuous experience of peace if it's dependent upon everyone around us not coming too close and not talking to us. And so while it's beautiful to have to, as Pujya Swamiji says, recharge our batteries in times of silence and solitude, ultimately the point is, how can I take that and make it my own? Make it me so that I can move through the world with that. And so that's the only way to do it. There's no trick of carrying your sadhana into the world. The trick is make your sadhana so deep that experience changes you. And it becomes you. And so who you are as you move through the world is that. And by the way, it doesn't dull you. A lot of people say, well, God, I'm really worried about becoming too spiritual because I'm this great businessman, or I'm this great actor or actress, or I'm this great whatever I may be in the world, and I'm this and I'm that, and I'm, really socially active, and, spirituality is going to just make me way too boring, way too calm. I don't want to be that calm. I want to be vibrant. Spirituality, sadhana, it doesn't dull you. It actually gives you a vibrance. But it gives you a vibrance that's real rather than a vibrance that is frenetic. It gives you a vibrance that actually comes as nature is vibrant. It's the vibrance of a flower that's blossoming. It's the vibrance of a tree that's giving apples. It's the vibrance of a river that's flowing. And so never worry that, oh my God, if I become spiritual, then I won't be able to do this or do that. The only things you won't be able to do are things that aren't who you are. And why would you want to do those things anyway? Right? I mean, what do we really get from that? Just the opportunity to perpetuate a myth that we already know is wrong? That our happiness and peace can somehow be bought by money or possessions or titles or whatnot? We know that isn't true. And so connecting to the sadhana, connecting to the spirituality, allows us to move through the world with truth and as truth, in its full vibrancy. Before taking any other questions, yes, I'm happy to take any that are here, beginning with yours.
You said that one can only say lie if there is a sense of separation.
One can only?
Say lie to someone if there is
Okay. We can only lie to someone if there's a sense of separation. Yes.
But if we have to say lie to come to truth, for example, for coming to satsang, then it doesn't feel like a lie. So it's a lie or it's...
Okay. So there's two aspects of the question. He said, as I had said, we can only lie to someone or cheat someone, harm someone, if we feel separate from them. And so he said, well, taking the lie part of it, there's a sense of separation if we lie, but what if we have to lie to get to truth? So what if, for example, I have to lie in order to be here in satsang? So there's two pieces. When we lie to someone, even if we do it for good reason, there absolutely is a sense of separation between you and that person. So whomever you're lying to, even if it is with great intention, even if it is necessary, nonetheless, in the moment that you are telling a lie, there is absolutely a sense in your mind and your experience that you are separate from that person. If I am in an experience of oneness with you, I can't lie to you. That's part one. Piece two is really a question not about separation, but it's a question about, is it ever okay to do something that seems wrong, but that's in service of something that is right? So, specifically with regard to speech, in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna gave us a beautiful equation. The equation was that in order for speech to be dharmic speech, tapas speech, it has to be three things. It has to be true, but it also has to be kind and beneficial. So if the truth is true, but it's hurtful to someone, and it's not beneficial to them, that is not considered dharmic speech. Now you raise the question of, well, what if it's not true? So what if it's kind and beneficial, but it's not true? This is an aspect of relationships that we are in. And the question, of course, becomes, if in our relationships, we were speaking last night about people who theoretically love us, but who don't want to let us actually live as the truth of who we are. And the awareness that that isn't then a fullness of love. If there's really a fullness of love, I'm going to want you to experience and to unfold and to be the fullness and the truth of who you are. But of course, especially in families are made up of lots of humans. And unless your family happens to be made up of humans who are enlightened, you've got humans with agendas. You've got humans with good intentions, doing the best they can, navigating their own karmic package in the best way they know how. But with their own ignorance, with their own fears, with their own attachments, with their own egos. And that's what ends up keeping other people in the family stuck. Then it's, I need you to behave in the way I want you to behave. Not actually because it's good for you, but because if you don't, I get upset. And I can't manage my own emotions. And so I need you to manage your behavior so I don't have to manage my emotions. And this is the way that most of our relationships work. And this is something, as we embark on a spiritual path, each of us has to navigate for ourselves. Again, if you look back to the battlefield upon which the Gita was spoken, back to the story of the Mahabharata, well, we know there were moments. There were moments in the war for Dharma where things were said, things were done that if taken out of context, you'd say, oh, that was a lie, or oh, that was maybe not really a lie, but maybe not really the fullness of the truth. Oh, that was kind of not exactly the way the rule was supposed to be. But that we're in service of such a greater Dharma. And this is something that each of us has to navigate for ourselves. But here's the issue, and here's where it's sticky. The ego is really dangerous. Because the ego, the minute that we allow ourselves the freedom of flexibility, the freedom to say, well, all right, if I know this is my truth, to be in satsang, to be in arti, to be on the banks of Ganga, to be meditating. If I really know that's my truth, what do I have to do? I mean, I'll tell you a personal story. After I first moved to India, when I would go back to Los Angeles to visit my family, one of the things very, very important to my mother was always sleep. Lots of sleep, lots of hours of sleep since I was a kid. It was always make sure you get lots of sleep, and I was always put to bed very, very early. And okay. So she always worries, to this day, that I don't get enough sleep. So when I first would go back to visit, of course, they saw me so infrequently. They wanted as much time from me as they could have. And I knew from the minute in the morning that I went out into the kitchen to get some hot water, well, the kitchen is near my mom's room, and then it's, oh, good morning, honey, how are you? And well, for me, I have a morning practice of meditation. And so, yeah, I found myself not telling the truth. And I would tell her, for example, an hour and a half after I actually had awoken, and I had spent an hour and a half meditating in my room, and I would come out of my room an hour and a half later going, morning, Mom. Right? Now, in her mind, I had just gotten up. Great. She was so happy. I'd had a really good night's sleep. And in the night, about an hour before I really needed to go to bed, I'd say, oh, I'm so tired. I think I'm going to go to sleep. Oh, yeah, go to sleep, she'd say. Get a good night's sleep. So I'd go in, I'd have time to meditate. As the years went by, I no longer needed to do that. But in the beginning, it was necessary in order for me to get those hours to do my practice without her feeling like, oh my God, you've already moved thousands of miles away. Now you come back to visit. As it is, you already have so much work to do. So it's not like I could give all day long to them anyway. And now here are these hours that you're awake, you're not working, but you're not with us. And rather than create that daily tension, it was so much easier to just say, I'm going to sleep. Or I slept in. But I was aware that this was not an ideal situation. And as the years have gone on, you change. And so what I would suggest to you is navigate it however you need to navigate it right now. But don't allow yourself to think that this is any kind of a permanent solution. And be very wary of the ego that gives you the permission to break a rule, because the ego will start to give you all sorts of reasons to break rules. Oh, it's okay to lie about this. It's okay to lie about that. It's okay this. It'll start to justify itself because the ego thinks you know the best. And so the ego will always give you justification to take the easy way out. It'll always give you a justification to lie. Try not to take it. See where can you, through your truth, give people in your life, your family, the opportunity to step into a greater truth for them. It takes some courage. But to be able to say, Mom, Dad, or whoever it is that you need to lie to in order to be in satsang, this is important for me. Sitting here, I'm experiencing an aspect of me, I'm learning about me, I'm touching me, I'm evolving, I'm awakening, however you explain it. And that's essential to me. Because if I don't know who I am, I don't know how to move through the world. Then I'm just obedient. But I want to be more than obedient. I want to really be an awake, light-filled tool in the hands of God. But in order to do that, I have to clear away some of the stuff. I have to clear away some ego. I have to clear away some ignorance. I have to clear away a lot of stuff. Give them an opportunity to step into a space that's bigger than the space that they're in. We also, the other last piece of this is, we underestimate the power actually of a lot of our loved ones a lot. We take a shortcut and an easy way out, thinking they won't be able to handle it, or just because we are conflict averse. But sometimes speaking the truth and holding it in a place of love and inviting others into that place of truth is very, very powerful, and is exactly perhaps what that aspect of your Dharma is. Because now, for me, in such a beautiful way that the universe works, now, I mean, not starting even now, starting years ago, my mom says, I want to learn to meditate. Teach me to meditate. Do you think you could meditate with me? So you see how when people are given a little bit of space into which they can also expand, that's more than the space that they're used to living in. Not in every case, but in a lot of cases. If that space is opened with love, with truth, not with I'm better than you are, but just in your love, in your truth, if you can create that space for them, who knows, maybe they'll join you in satsang. Yes. Patience. Are you here tomorrow as well? Okay. No problem. So we'll take it tonight. That's okay, no problem. So impatience comes from the belief that somehow there is something wrong with the present moment. That's why I'm impatient. Something is wrong in this moment that in another moment is going to be right. Whether I'm impatient with others because they're not getting it right or doing it right, or whether I'm simply impatient in general. Things should happen faster and better. What I want should happen faster and more. Either way, they're both rooted in the same myth that there is something wrong with the present moment. And the only way to be patient is to realize the perfection of the present moment. That doesn't mean that we may want the next moment to be different. Perfection in the present moment doesn't mean laziness or complacency or agreeing to the status quo. It simply means in this moment, in this breath, in this place, everything's exactly as it should be. And in the next moment, I'm gonna work, beginning perhaps with an intention in this moment, to bring about a change. Should I believe that future moments can be even more perfect than the present moment? Perfect in a different way than the present moment? But as long as this moment is here, this is exactly the moment that you are supposed to have right now. So impatience assumes as its base that there is something wrong with this moment, that something could, should be better about this moment, and that it better happen fast. So it's also living in the future. And the dilemma of that is you miss the present. And the other aspect of impatience is we think it's about something specific. So for example, I'm really impatient to finish high school so that I can go off to college. I'm really impatient to finish college so I can get into graduate school. I'm really impatient to finish graduate school so that I can finally have my career. I'm really impatient to rise in my career so that I can do even more. Everything becomes something else. But in each moment, we think it's just one thing. If at any moment you said, what's wrong with the present moment? We'd give you one main thing. I'm impatient for this or about that. But the dilemma is it's never that. It's always one after the other, after the other, after the other. And that actually just becomes the nature of who we are. And then you keep missing your present moments. Every one of them. Because you're always somewhere in the future. Because that becomes what in Indian spiritual tradition we call a sanskara. In Western science we talk about as a neural pattern or a neural network. Of how literally our brain moves. And when we have impatience, it's constantly like, yeah, okay. Wait, faster. When is this going to change? Hurry up, that needs to happen. Whether it's someone else, whether it's me, whether it's the universe. And so I'm never here. I'm always in the future and it's not coming fast enough. If you bring yourself back to your breath, the breath is a fantastic tool. Because it's right here, right now. You can't breathe 5 minutes ago's breath. You can't breathe tomorrow's breath. The only breath you can have is this one. And so the more awareness of the breath you can be rooted in, the more in the present you are. And that's doable with eyes open, walking through the world, sitting in a board meeting, driving your car. You don't have to be eyes closed, sitting in, lotus position in your temple meditating. You can be aware of the breath, grounded in the breath, whatever else you're doing. But it always brings you straight into the present moment. And so the minute you find the mind becoming impatient, bring it to the breath. And give yourself some mantra. If you've got a mantra already, use that. If not, if there's something that appeals deeply to you, use that. Otherwise, it can literally just be something like, the present moment is full. The present moment is perfect. Or even just something like, the present moment is all there is. Find something that resonates with you, that when you say it, there's an internal sense of, something you can literally exhale into. And just allow that to resonate through your awareness. And because it's a habit and a pattern, you can unlearn it. Impatience is not a very deeply rooted, sense of self. It's just a personality habit and trait that we adopt, and then we keep strengthening. You can unlearn it. Pujya Swamiji always says, if you're impatient, you become a patient. Literally, it makes you sick. So we learn patience so we don't have to be a patient. Wonderful. We will start tomorrow evening with your question. Okay?